It's crazy when you look at the numbers because you see the United States at about 3.5%. You guys hit the mark at 2.12. We've both got pretty big economies. So we're talking about on a big scale, 3.5% and 2%. And then you've got all these smaller countries who are just getting the deal of a lifetime, paying maybe 1% of a very tiny GDP to join a club that gets you the backing of militaries that are worth trillions of dollars. I mean, what a sweet deal. And how could anybody not call them out is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's freeloading, isn't it? But it's not just the small European countries that are cheating. Germany, 80 million people, the biggest country in Europe, and Germany is only paying 1.2%. And I think that President Trump and Angela Merkel need to have a very frank discussion about that. Otherwise, as I say, European countries are freeloading off American taxpayers.
That's totally true. That is absolutely true. Yeah, it's called nationalism. It's called free market. It's called Donald Trump. It's called the info war. That's how we get out of here. We have a private corporate world government that thinks it's God, that is using high-tech weaponized propaganda through Hollywood and the media to brainwash and dumb down the general population while turning us against each other, while weaponizing giant third world populations and pointing them at the West in an attempt to bankrupt civilization. This is an attack on civilization because the globalists are a breakaway civilization that are tax exempt, that are waging war against the old civilization and are extracting its wealth, its ideas, its resources into the new corporate reservations for the elite, the so-called elite, while then reducing us all down to the status of chattel serfs. And that is the admitted world government plan. It is 1,000% evil and out of control, and it is being rejected because it has been exposed. And the founder of UKIP, the man behind Brexit, Nigel Farage, has just recently spoken. The full speech is up on Infowars.com. I suggest that you share it because it's powerful. He lays it all out, and he makes the point that most NATO members are freeloading off of American taxpayers, that they are cheating and not following the agreements. That's the thing about China and the WTO and NAFTA and GATT in Mexico. They don't even follow the agreements that are there that are still one-sided. The UK pays its share. The US pays its share. No one else pays its share in NATO. They freeload off of it. And it's coming to an end. And they go, oh, you're pro-Russia. You want us to pay for NATO. What does that have to do with it? Trump's like, Merkel, you get 70% of your energy from Russia. You signed a big deal with them. By the way, I don't think that's bad. I think it's fine to buy energy from Russia. I don't want to encircle Russia. But economically, we should compete with Russia. Now, there's the tweet from the president. The United States is spending far more on NATO than any other country. This is not fair, nor is it acceptable. While these countries have been increasing their contributions since they took office, $14 billion, I would add, they must do much more. Germany is at 1%. The U.S. is at 4%. And NATO benefits. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Nigel Farage breaking it down.
Why do you think the president is right to be tough on this issue?
Well, the president's not being tough on the issue. The president is merely quoting the rules of the club. To be part of NATO, you've got to spend 2% of your GDP on defense. The fact is there are 29 members of NATO, and only 6 of them are actually paying the membership fee. So the argument is, why should America protect all these countries if they're not prepared to make a fair contribution? I think it's a wholly reasonable argument, but it's set, you see, against the background of the European Union wants to build its own army, its own European army, and Mr. Juncker, who heads the European Commission, is saying you only need to pay 1%. So what you're going to hear in the next 48 hours are various European leaders saying Trump is threatening the security of people in Europe. The truth is, it's the ambitions of the European project that's doing it. And I believe that the president should be very firm indeed.
You know, it's crazy when you look at the numbers because you see the United States at about 3.5%. You guys hit the mark at 2.12. Yeah. We've both got pretty big economies. So we're talking about on a big scale, 3.5% and 2%. And then you've got all these smaller countries who are just getting the deal of a lifetime, paying maybe 1% of a very tiny GDP to join a club that gets you the backing of militaries that are worth trillions of dollars. I mean, what a sweet deal. And how could anybody not call them out is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's freeloading, isn't it? But it's not just the small European countries that are cheating. Germany, you know, 80 million people, the biggest country in Europe, and Germany is only paying 1.2%. And I think that President Trump and Angela Merkel need to have a very frank discussion about that. Otherwise, as I say, European countries are freeloading off American taxpayers.
That's totally true. That is absolutely true. Now, back here in the U.S., though, most U.S. media is saying, he's endangering us. He's trying to break up NATO for the Russians. Oh, no. The EU is way more communist than the Russians are. The EU is super authoritarian. It's allied with the Democratic Party. And you've got our giant GDP, the biggest in the world. We're paying almost 4% of our total GDP, which that's why we pay close to half of NATO. It's cost. That's the way to really look at it. Then you've got 20-something other countries that are paying 1%, 1.5%, when it's for their security, and they claim they want us to contribute more. How about we just have a peace deal with Russia and then use NATO to control the borders and use NATO to basically be downsized? Or just have it revert back to nation states having their own militaries? Because it's about global government. They don't want individual countries to have their own militaries. They want this big NATO army that's part of the EU, part of the UN, the world government police force. And now the EU police force is this army, this secret army they're building, which their first enemy is nation states that try to control their borders. The American taxpayer is the laughingstock of the world. And it's over. That's all that's happening. And Trump is very pragmatically just asking them to back off of this just a little bit. Okay, let's go to Trump slams Merkel over Russia energy dependence. Here it is.
Germany is totally controlled by Russia because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO, and I don't think it should have happened. And I think we have to talk to Germany about it. But Germany, as far as I'm concerned, is captive to Russia because it's getting so much of its energy from Russia. So we're supposed to protect Germany, but they're getting their energy from Russia. Explain that. And it can't be explained, you know that.
Unless you realize that the bureaucrats, the big banks, after World War II said we have nuclear weapons, we have all the technology, we have half the world's wealth, we're 4% of the population. Take the middle class's money, don't use it to actually help countries industrialize and democratize. Use it for global turmoil and control, and let the big mega corporations extract all the wealth. So you look at this, you ask, where's all the money going that we give to the EU and to NATO? It goes to the contracts to big corporations that Bilderberg Group controls. And that's why they never wanted you to know Bilderberg Group existed, because many of their own corporate documents have been leaked out of the National Archives to me. Remember 6 years ago, we got leaked all the senators' private papers, 400 pages of it, and it was all the big plan to transfer our wealth to corporations and how to break the unions. We'll be right back after this quick break. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com, Newswars.com. Extendowise, the latest product from InfoWarsLife.com, fuses all the known compounds that have been proven to be good for our hearts and cardiovascular system. And listen, everybody's got a heart. Well, actually, maybe Hillary and George Soros don't, but everybody else has a heart, and this product is amazing. So, if you have a heart and you want the very best product out there that's designed to aid a healthy heart, cardiovascular system. It's Extendawise, available at InfoWarsLife.com. And like all of our products are game changers, this baby is the most souped up, awesome version the top formulators could come up with and still be affordable. It's one of the very best heart pills out there. It's Extendawise. So get some for yourself and family and friends. It's got the very best fish oil from the fjords. It's very, very pure, very, very clean, and has the EPA type that is specifically good for the heart, cardiovascular system. It's got the properly formulated type of CoQ10 and more. It is Extendawise, now available at InfoWarsLife.com.